our purpose and kind of what we believe is, we reimagine food service disposables and we offer products that enhance lasting memories. So some people might think, well, Berk, oh yeah, they sell cups, they sell straws, they sell, cotton candy bags. Yes, we do that. But we believe that we're providing the tools that bring people together over a meal to create memories, whether you're at a fair, sharing a lemonade with your boyfriend, or you're at a restaurant, sharing your Chipotle bowl. Like, we feel like our products play a part in bringing people together to create memories.
Let's discover what people are building in the greater Cleveland community. We are telling the stories of Northeast Ohio's entrepreneurs, builders, and those supporting them. Welcome to the Lay of the Land podcast, where we are exploring what people are building in Cleveland and throughout Northeast Ohio. I am your host, Jeffrey Stern, and today I had the real pleasure of speaking with Reilly Berk, the CEO of Berk Enterprises. Founded back in 1946 by her grandparents, Suzanne and Harold Berk, Berk Enterprises boasts a diverse history that began with the creation of the QuicKill insecticide and the subsequent founding of the Berk Exterminating Company in Warren, Ohio. Evolving over time, the company expanded its ventures into numismatics, leading to the Warren Coin Shop, and later transformed into Berk Paper and Supply, carrying janitorial products such as tissues, napkins, and paper towels. In 1976, Berk Paper and Supply evolved into Berk Enterprises, when the company underwent transformative changes, introducing innovations like the novelty drinkware line for the concessions industry and the Environ product line, which consists of earth-friendly alternatives. Today, Berk Enterprises maintains an impressive catalog of over 4,000 food service disposables, such as plastic cutlery, straws, cups, to-go containers, and much more, as they service over 3,000 different customers, including restaurant chains like Chipotle, as well as schools, entertainment venues, theaters, stadiums, and fairs, in addition to supplying the nation's largest food service distributors with multiple distribution centers across the country. Guided by familial dedication, Reilly, who was recently recognized by Forbes as a 30 under 30 in Cleveland, now serves as the CEO of Berk Enterprises, overseeing 150 employees and with a drive and vision to continue to shape the industry with Berk Enterprises' legacy, values, and expanding product offerings. This was a really fun conversation as we unpacked what it was like becoming CEO in her early 20s, the history and the evolution of the family business over time, Reilly's perspective on management and leadership, and what is in store for Berk Enterprises going forward. So please enjoy my conversation with Reilly Berk after a brief message from our sponsor. Lay of the Land is brought to you by Impact Architects and by 90. As we share the stories of entrepreneurs building incredible organizations in Cleveland and throughout Northeast Ohio, Impact Architects has helped hundreds of those leaders, many of whom we have heard from as guests on this very podcast, realize their own visions and build these great organizations. I believe in Impact Architects and the people behind it so much that I have actually joined them personally in their mission to help leaders gain focus, align together, and thrive by doing what they love. If you too are trying to build great, Impact Architects is offering to sit down with you for a free consultation or provide a free trial through 90, the software platform that helps teams build great companies. If you are interested in learning more about partnering with Impact Architects or by leveraging 90 to power your own business, please go to ia.layoftheland.fm. The link will also be in our show notes.
All right. So I was thinking about where the best place to start our conversation would be. And I was thinking about the Forbes recognition that you recently achieved. And I thought it would be a fun place to start, just given that in the spirit of that recognition, it's all about young, ambitious people here in the greater Cleveland area making their mark in the world and building up Northeast Ohio as a region. So, you are a young, ambitious person, now the third generation leading and running over 100-person organization with thousands of clients. Can you tell us a little bit about your story and how you came to be in this position?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Interesting situation. So I have grown up in a family business. My grandfather started the business in 1946. we've evolved quite a bit. We actually started as an exterminating company, which is like just crazy to think about. But he was a chemistry major and he developed this insecticide called QuicKill. So we were selling these exterminating supplies, and he also had a passion for like rare coins. So we had like a little coin shop in this like exterminating building. Like it's so random. And then when my dad was growing up, he didn't really know what he wanted to do. He had no interest in exterminating, no interest in coins. Just didn't know what he wanted to do. His mom's like, well, why don't you be a lawyer? That's a steady job. So he studied political science. And then as he was kind of finishing up school, his dad was starting to get sick. So my dad's like, okay, I'll join the business and help out and we'll see where that goes. So he joined the business, and the businesses were located in Warren, Ohio. So about an hour from Cleveland. And he was working there. He was pretty much like our only sales rep at the time, just kind of hitting the streets and helping out around the business. And around the 70s, mid 70s, early 80s, my dad was always really fascinated by the outdoor amusement industry, like fairs and carnivals. And my dad's like a big kid. Like he loves these kind of things. He loves pinball machines. Like he just recently opened up a pinball arcade in my hometown. So this was like right up his alley. And he would walk all of these fairs, and he noticed that all of these people for lemonade were using like a generic like wheat design or just like a plain boring cup. So my dad's like, he would talk to people. He's like, well, you can sell your lemonade out of your cup for maybe $2, or my cup that has lemons all over it and the word lemonade. And, you could probably sell it for double. And he kind of coined this phrase like flash is cash. So that's kind of how that concession side of the business started. And it really took off. Everyone wanted these lemonade cups, and that kind of evolved into, French fry buckets and cotton candy bags and popcorn tubs, and really just bringing that industry to life. There's a lot of people now when you walk fairs, there's many different kinds of lemonade cups and things, but we were the first ones to kind of bring that custom fun, lemonade cup to the fairs. So I grew up in the business. I'm one of 5. I'm the oldest. And, I remember at a very early age, like 6, 7 years old, going to the office to see dad, going into his office, running around the cubicles, going into the conference room, talking to all of the staff, going to the holiday parties. And it's funny, a lot of the staff that I talked to when I was like 6 is still at the office today, which is really cool. But I was just really fascinated by it. And I remember when I was like 12, 13 years old, seeing my dad as this like successful businessman, always in a suit and traveling, and hearing these stories, I'm like, this is just so incredible. Like I know I want to be a part of this. Like I knew at a very young age, which was cool. And when I was 15, I went to my first trade show in Paris, which is like one of my favorite places ever. Yeah. And I was like in the booth, all dressed up, talking to customers and showing them our products. And like in that moment, I really was like, this is like what I really want to do. Like I'm so passionate about this. So I've worked part-time for the business for 10 years now. Anytime I had breaks from school, like winter vacations and spring breaks and summer breaks throughout high school, I always wanted to be at Berk. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I graduated from Kent, and then I went to Cleveland State to get my master's. And I was working for another company at the time because I felt like it was important to get some other experience and learn other aspects of different kind of companies. And then my dad was calling me. He's like, when are you going to come to Berk? We want you back here. So then I left Cleveland. I moved back to the Youngstown, Warren area. I went back to Berk full time in 2021. And when I was at Berk before, I was always really involved and passionate about like sales. My dad was like the greatest salesman ever. He still is. So I love that side of the business, talking to customers. And I was really excited about that. I was in sales for a while, and then I transitioned into operations. And then last year, I became the CEO. So it's been a whirlwind, to say the least. I can imagine.
Quite a journey.
Yeah.
Seeing, all aspects of the business and
for sure
everything in between. How would you describe Berk at the highest level today? At
the highest level, we sell food service disposables and packaging to restaurant chains, distributors like Cisco, US Foods, PFG, Gordon Food Service, and then we also service the outdoor amusement industry. So you could find our products in like fairs, carnivals, theaters, prisons, schools, hospitals, things like that. So any kind of to-go packaging for restaurants.
So over 3/4 of a century ago, when your grandfather is starting this business with an insecticide product.
It's so interesting how we've evolved. And I might have forgot to mention this in the beginning, but after the coins, Harold, my grandfather, he also started selling janitorial supplies. So like toilet paper, tissues, napkins. So like we were doing a little bit in the food service industry, like barely. But that's kind of how that started. And then my grandfather passed before we even started the concessions. So my dad only had a few, special years with his dad working together before he passed. But we've evolved quite a bit. And I think, the passing of my grandfather and just having my father having a short time with him, I think that was something else that kind of spearheaded the transition and succession planning into my role. I think the thought was, let's have as much time together as possible, working together and learning from each other. So,
yeah, no, it is pretty fascinating. I think when you think about the origin story of a lot of businesses, often at the onset, there's this, grand vision that is laid out about, the kind of impact and direction that you're going to head in as an organization. Knowing, from where you are, in a future standpoint, relative to where your grandfather was when he started it, was there kind of a founding vision for, what Berk would become, or, how do you think about?
I don't know. And I like so badly wish that I could have met my grandfather. Like I never got to meet him. And, he's a huge motivator for me since he started the business. But no, I think at the time, this was a different time, the way my father describes it, in the Youngstown, Warren area in the 40s, 50s, like we were just a small mom and pop operation. Our customers were all in Warren. Like we were just a local family business. I don't think Harold ever had a plan to be the largest, best exterminating company in the world. Like I don't think that was there. And then, when my dad joined the business, like he thought this was maybe going to be a temporary thing. So he was just trying to help the family, support his parents. And then, he's such a visionary and, kind of spearheading the amusement side of the business. And he never really knew where this was going to go, but, it's cool that he didn't know what he wanted to do, had no interest to join the business. And then he got really excited about it and passionate and took it to such an amazing level. So I think that's really special.
It is really special. So I'd love to kind of go a little bit deeper in terms of, the offerings and the solutions and the products that you're bringing to market, across, because it's really a gamut of things.
Yeah, we have like over 4,000 SKUs, which is crazy. We sell lots of different products, but I can break down the segments if you want for you, the different product groups. Yeah, so we carry mostly like three different kinds of product groups. Berkeley Square is one of our brands. I would say it's the most I don't want to say generic, but it's like your everyday disposables, plastic cutlery, straws, hot cups, cold cups, to-go containers, film, foil. It's just like your basic, nothing really custom print. It's like your standard kind of restaurant supplies that you might see at some chains. If you're to get, like Bob Evans to go, they give you like a plastic cutlery kit. We have another line called Environ. This is our biodegradable and compostable line. So similar products, cutleries, straws, cups, to-go containers, but these are all earth-friendly alternatives. We've had this line for quite a while now, but there's definitely been a shift in, a lot of these chains now are looking for more sustainable options and, starting to care a little bit more about plastic and wanting to reduce that. So that's our Environ line. And then the third line, my favorite line, is the novelty drinkware in our concession line. And what's special about that is we have the ability with my team to really bring someone's vision to life. So a great example of that, we do a lot of state fairs across the country.
Yeah.
We recently did something for the Washington State Fair. They have this mascot. It's like a bear or some kind of creature. I don't really know what it is, but they basically wanted like us to make a cup in the shape of this animal with like the t-shirt on and like holding up a little Washington State Fair flag. And so, we have 3D printers and like amazing technology. We were able to pretty much bring this person's vision to life very quickly. And this year at the fair, they had all of these custom little Washington State Fair cups. So it's a fun side of the business. We love being able to bring people's visions to life. And it's fun. We definitely get to be the most creative, I would say, on that side of the business.
It sounds really fun. I think when people think about, fairs or sporting outings or other events of that nature, I'd imagine most of us normally think about it and experience them as participants and less on, the business side of it. What does it look like from the other side? What do you wish people understood about that world that maybe they don't?
Good question. I guess, it depends on what line we're talking about, but I think, no one thinks about maybe the thought that went into something or the behind the scenes, how many years of just ideas and, trial and error for a product, especially on the concession side of the business, like they just, probably have no clue. Like, some of our products, for example, my dad, it's funny, he includes my family on a lot of our cups in like caricature forms, like cartoon, like in a cartoon way. So like a lot of people don't know that. But he incorporates us on the cup. So like most people would never know that, or like would never know that like this cartoon drawing is like real people, or they're the owners of the business, or they're, so yeah, I guess, there's a lot that goes into the products, tons of testing. I mean, they travel all over the world. They, I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it, like any product, but I guess it would just be like the behind the scenes and all the thought that goes into it.
Yeah. I want to pull on the creative thread. You mentioned your dad had this catchphrase, maybe that flash is cash,
flash is
right?
Cash, yeah.
And kind of propelling the whole lemonade cup business to new heights. How do you, even just within those three segments, you think about like where innovation comes from in the kinds of products that you are creating, and how do you cultivate a culture of creativity?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it really depends. I know something that my father started a long time ago was something called a Creative Minds meeting. And basically, this was like a once a month meeting where we would get the art department, marketing, some sales reps, my dad kind of spearheading this. And it was really just like a let's dream together about new innovations, new products, like nothing's too crazy, like just say whatever you want. There's been some crazy ideas. There's been some really good ideas that now we sell hundreds and thousands of cases of. So, I think being a family business, I was raised and, my dad was raised with this like entrepreneurial spirit. And we're always just, having fun, thinking of what we can bring to the industry. And I think a lot of new ideas come from those Creative Minds meetings. I know a few months ago, a sales rep, he's come up with a lot of amazing ideas, and he always brings a big duffel bag of surprises to these meetings. So we always get so excited. And he's like, I have this idea. You guys will never believe it. And he pulls out this giant white bathtub. And we're like, we don't get it. Like, what's the deal here? And he's like, I saw it at a bar. They were using it for drinks, but like, what if we used it for food? It's a bathtub. And we're like, that's just so goofy. Like, it'll never work. And, everyone's against it. We're like, you know what, though? Like, in the concession industry, like the goofy stuff, like it sells, it works. So we're like, the tub, like, what can we put in here? And I'm like, the tub of fun. We could put anything in there, nachos, donuts. So we have the 64-ounce white bathtub called the Tub of Fun that is all over the fairs now, which is funny. But it's, it's fun. And it's nice having a team, too, that's also just creative. And they're so passionate about our industry and our business that they are always, everyone in the company is brainstorming of, new things that we can bring to the market. So it's a fun atmosphere for sure.
So just with the breadth of offerings that you do have, how do you think about, where to focus your efforts and, what comes next?
Yeah, great question. It really depends. I think in the past when my dad was kind of running the business, we kind of pride ourselves on being a one-stop shop. A lot of our competitors and other companies in the industry, they might only sell disposables. They might only sell the environmentally friendly options. Some of our competitors only sell novelty drinkware, whereas we hit, a wide variety of different product offerings, which I think a lot of our customers like that we're a one-stop shop. But I think now as time goes on and, as I'm getting more comfortable in my role and we're talking about growth and some of our goals and things, I think we're starting to focus in on a little bit more on what we're best at, which I would say, the outdoor amusement industry and those products, as well as like cutlery, straws, bagasse, like to-go containers. I would say that's like our sweet spot. We could do a lot of things. We can find any product and we can sell anything. But yeah, I think as time goes on, just really trying to narrow down a little bit and focus on what we're best on.
Right. Because it's such a wide aperture. And I'm sure, when you think about the history and the legacy of it and just knowing where it came from, if you flip that perspective to, the next 75 years and
right.
Where do you want to take Berk?
Yeah, well, trying to take it pretty far. I mean, I have a lot of big goals and dreams for the company. And I think, just trying to continue to be a leading supplier of packaging for the restaurant and amusement industry, obviously to continue growing sales and profits and, really growing my team and hopefully opening up other distribution centers around the country. And, ultimately I'm just motivated by my grandfather and my parents and just want to be able to give back to them. But I think there's so much we could do with the business. And that's what's so great about our industry is there are so many people and so many different kinds of industries using our products. Right now we're really focused on restaurants and distributors and the fairs, but there's airlines, there's hospitals, there's hotels. I mean, there's so many things. So it's exciting to know the growth potential it's pretty massive.
Yeah. Yeah. So more from a personal standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
if your grandfather was, the founder, and if you think of your father kind of as the visionary of the company, how do you balance, maintaining the legacy of the business while also bringing, your own fresh perspective as you lead the company forward?
Yeah, that's a good question. We actually, up until about 2 years ago, we were still selling some of the exterminating supplies.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of that legacy side of the business, but it really wasn't making money. It was just like kind of like that legacy piece. So I think, there's certain things that my dad created that I respect and appreciate. And it is kind of our legacy and how people in the area know us. But I think it's also a balance of, we're here to be profitable and we're here to make money and we have a lot of things we're trying to accomplish. So I think it's just a balance of, respecting the legacy and maybe even too, not getting rid of everything we did in the past, but maybe tweaking it or thinking differently of how we can make it more profitable or how we can incorporate it into like our, normal kind of, what we're selling now, what's popular. So, I don't know if that answered your question, but
no, I think you spoke to it for sure. Can you unpack a little bit more of what it is to be working in a family business in this way?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've worked part-time with my dad for 10 years. My sister was in customer service for a little bit. My brothers worked part-time for the business. Different breaks from school and things like that, more on the operations side. My mom's involved with the business on an HR side, helping with like payroll, different culture ideas. It is so much fun working in a family business. We have a great time together. There's no fighting. There's no drama. It's funny sometimes. I think, it's so special for my dad having his kids interested in the business that, we'll be in meetings sometimes. He's like, oh, honey Rye, or, these nicknames that he has for me, like in the middle of a meeting, or he'll be like, go Rye, like, great job, So there is that father-daughter dynamic there too. But it's just so special being able to work with my dad. yeah, it's really special. I love it so much. And, there are times where we don't always see eye to eye. I mean, he's been with the company for 45 years. He's a little bit more old school than I am, like obviously. So we don't always see eye to eye, but we both have the best interest in the company always. And I'm just so thankful that I have him to bounce ideas off of or go to him for advice. And it's the perfect situation working with him.
And how do you feel that it permeates to the rest of the business? Because the business is much larger than your family at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think, kind of my dad being the visionary and still being in the company. And I think, it's not like it's just family running the business. I have amazing, direct reports and a very strong leadership team and executive team. And like I kind of mentioned before, like my leadership team, my operations team, like I've grown up with them. Like I would visit them when I was young. They've seen like my homecoming pictures. Like I've grown up with them and now we're all working together. So it really is, I think, just full circle for a lot of us. And yeah, everyone's excited about the future of Berk and where we're headed.
So when you think about that future and where you are headed, what does success look like? What is ultimately the impact that you would like to have?
Well, our purpose and kind of what we believe is, we reimagine food service disposables and we offer products that enhance lasting memories. So some people might think, well, Berk, oh yeah, they sell cups, they sell straws, they sell, cotton candy bags. Yes, we do that. But we believe that we're providing the tools that bring people together over a meal to create memories, whether you're at a fair, sharing a lemonade with your boyfriend, or you're at a restaurant, sharing your Chipotle bowl. Like we feel like our products play a part in bringing people together to create memories. So as far as what success looks like to me, I mean, I want to continue growing the business, continue gaining more market share, of course, and really just being able to serve as many restaurants and distributors as we can, sell to all the state fairs in the country, and really just being able to give back to my parents and my employees. And I hope that when I have children one day, they want to go into the business, and I want Berk to be around forever and ever and ever. So
amazing. Well, one thing you mentioned at the beginning was, call it maybe the expedited slope of your own personal and professional progression, within the company. How have you, for lack of better words, like tried to scale yourself, to be the leader that, you want to be?
Yeah. It's a lot. It's, I mean, I always knew, one day I wanted to be the CEO. It was like my dream. And I imagined myself being 45 years old with a few kids, and my dad being in his 80s and him being it's finally time. Like you've earned it. You've worked here so long. I believe in you. Here are the keys. And when all of that happened, 20 some years early, I was like, this is the biggest honor of my entire life, but this is a little scary. It's a lot. I think growing up in the family business, no one cares about the business more than family. And although I wasn't the CEO up until, about a year ago, I feel like I was kind of indirectly always in that seat because I always cared about the people. I always was wondering about the vision and where we're headed and what we're trying to do. I was always trying to problem solve and really get to know my employees. So,
yeah,
I feel like, yes, the role was new to me, but I've kind of been doing some of these things behind the scenes. But no, I mean, it was definitely intimidating in the beginning, very overwhelming. I think any CEO could relate to that. You're responsible now for, I have 100 employees and their families, and you also set the tone for the company, where you're headed, what's your strategy. That's a lot of pressure for anyone. And I think, it's interesting being my age. I was 24 when that happened. So it's, I didn't really have anyone else that I knew in that position going through that.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah, I've been very lucky though. I have great mentors and coaches and leaders that I work with, and They've given me great advice, but it's a lot. And I'm still navigating through that too. I'm getting married next year. I recently moved back to the Youngstown, Warren area from Cleveland. So it was like moving, wedding planning. I got a dog last year and then trying to run a business all while being in your 20s. It's a lot to juggle, but I'm so passionate about the business. I have been for so long. And I just love what I do. I work on the weekends. I work at nights. I work kind of like 24/7, but I love it so much that it's like not even work to me. I'm like, this is like so fun. Like I don't sleep at night because I'm just so excited about going to work the next day. So yeah, I love it.
That's awesome.
Lay of the Land is brought to you by John Carroll University's Boler College of Business, widely recognized as one of the top business schools in the region. As we've heard time and time again from entrepreneurs here on Lay of the Land, many of whom are proud alumni of John Carroll University, success in this ever-changing world of business requires a dynamic and innovative mindset, deep understanding of emerging technologies and systems, strong ethics, leadership prowess, acute business acumen, all qualities nurtured through the Boler College of Business. With 4 different MBA programs of study spanning professional, online, hybrid, and 1-year flexible, the Boler College of Business provides flexible timelines and various class structures for each MBA track, including online, in-person, hybrid, and asynchronous, all to offer the most effective options for you, including the ability to participate in an elective international study tour, providing unparalleled opportunities to expand your global business knowledge by networking with local companies overseas and experiencing a new culture. The career impact of a Boler MBA is formative and will help prepare you for this future of business and get more out of your career. To learn more about John Carroll University's Boler MBA programs, please go to business.jcu.edu. The Boler College of Business is fully accredited by AACSB International, the highest accreditation a college of business can have.
What are, from the vantage point that you have now, some of, the most salient learnings that you maybe didn't expect, but now understand from the position of leading the organization?
Yeah, I've always been someone that I really enjoy meeting new people and connecting with them. So from a young age, I always really enjoyed going to the office to talk to the employees, like what's going well, what can I help with, are there any problems? And I think especially being in this role, it's so important to genuinely care about your employees. I'm a big believer that like I am not here without them. I'm not successful without them. Like my team is like, I'm not here without my team. And it's important that you get to know your team. Because they really feel like people in general want to feel seen, heard, and valued, right? Like I want to feel that way. And so if you take a little bit of extra time getting to know your employees, I feel like indirectly their performance is better. They feel cared for, so they care more about their job. Like Andrew Cathy, who's the CEO of Chick-fil-A, I heard him speak a few months ago, and he said, cared for people, care for people. And I totally agree with that. So I think that'd be one of like the biggest things I've learned, just the importance of getting to know your employees and letting them know that like you're here for them, like that you'll listen to them and whatever they need. It's sometimes your employees, they have lives outside of work, right? They might have family problems. They might have their own issues that they're dealing with. And just so for you to be someone who they can feel comfortable talking to, and it's really important. So I think that's one of the biggest things is just, really caring about your people.
Yeah, it's incredibly important. Well, it seems you've really taken all of this in incredible stride and enthusiasm. What have been some of the more challenging parts of navigating this?
Well, I came back full time to the business during COVID, 2021. So that was a challenge for sure. We import a lot of our product from overseas, really all over the country. We have some domestic manufacturers as well, but majority of it was coming from Asia. And so that was a problem, so kind of navigating through that. Luckily, I have such a strong team, an innovative team that, where we get hit with something and we figure it out and we move on. So, I mean, I think COVID was a struggle. I think, now more recently, I think when my dad was running the business, I think there wasn't really a set strategy, I would say. It was kind of like, let's increase our sales and let's keep doing what we're doing. And like, let's just grow the business as much as we can, which is great. And we have done that. But I think, what I'm trying to do now is be more focused and aligned on a strategy, what we're focusing on, where we're headed. And so, just trying to get that, aligned within the organization. I think too, I mean, there are a few challenges. I think just still that transition with my dad and I, we have 45 years of my dad running in, and then I'm here next year. So, like I said, we work amazing together. We have a great relationship, but of course, sometimes there's differences, and just kind of navigating through that, I would say is a slight challenge, but it's nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Well, I can, pick out what might feel like an obvious one, but I'm just curious, your perspective on it anyway. Being a young female CEO, how you've navigated some of the perception around that within Berk, and again maybe some of the surprising things you have from your vantage point now.
Yeah. So internally, it was incredible. The staff was so excited about it. I think we all knew this was coming. We just didn't know when. So the support from them and my family and my friends has been absolutely incredible. And, I've gotten a lot of support too from the industry and, other people. There have been times where I remember early on, random people coming in. I don't know if they were like, friends of my father or, just other people in business. And I'd introduce myself and, I'm the CEO of Berk Enterprises. And they're like, okay, like, where's your dad?
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of that. But ultimately, I think it's been fine. People have been supportive. And it's funny, around this time too, there's been a shift in my industry in regards to people who are buyers and purchasing managers for some of these restaurant chains and distributors. And a lot of them now, these decision makers are closer to my age than they are my dad's age. Where I think when my dad was around, everyone was kind of in their 50s and 60s and now they're in their 20s and 30s and 40s. So it's really to my advantage, being a young CEO, being able to connect with these people who were a few years apart. We all recently graduated school. Like it's nice being able to connect with them. But no, I mean, for the most part, I can't really complain. Like I've just, I'm honored to be in the role. I'm sure with people and companies in general, like people might always think things or say things behind closed doors, but I'm just grateful to be in the position. I work hard and I'm trying the best I can. So,
Oh, it's an amazing mentality.
Yeah.
What are you most excited about? Looking forward.
Yeah, I think it's just we have a lot of great people in our organization. We've brought on some incredible people, some great talent, and really just getting aligned. Everyone's excited about where we're headed. That's something that this actually came up yesterday at the office with a new hire, but I believe it's important to share with our employees, like, here's where we are, here's where we're going, and here's how we're all going to work together to get there. So like they all know like my flag on top of the mountain, like where we're headed. And I think it's important that employees know that. And this new hire was like, I love that you like tell us this and show us, because most of the time, like employees never know like what the goals are, where we're going. So I'm excited that my company is aligned with where we're headed, having some new people in my sales department and operations. Like we are all just so excited about the growth that we've already started to have since I've been here. And we're just excited. There's so much that we can do. And there's already so many things in the works that I can't talk about on here. But it's just, this is like only the beginning for Berk. Like I dream about these things, and I have since I was younger. And like, I know we're going to hit these goals. So it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, very, very compelling.
I'm excited.
It's a lot to be excited about. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground here, and we could obviously go into a lot more depth, probably into the different areas of the business. But I'm curious if anything comes to mind as particularly important as part of Berk's history or story or your experience going through it that we haven't talked about yet that you think is important too?
If I could share like a little advice.
Absolutely.
Maybe when I was younger and I would think about becoming CEO, like I, in my mind again, thought I'd be like 45, few kids, it'd be way later on in life. And when that happened when I was 24, it was crazy, but it's like, okay, I've been in the role now over a year. And like, as time goes on, I'm getting more comfortable and confident. So I guess it's like, people don't need to think that they need to wait till they're in their 50s to like be a CEO or be a boss or be an owner. Like, I think we're capable of a lot more than we thought, or that people maybe think they are. And, it might be scary in the beginning to take a chance or a risk on something, but like you're capable. I mean, if I could do this, you guys could do this, like I think you just have to be passionate. And if you're passionate about what you're doing, you have the energy, you're motivated, you're determined, like you could do anything. So you take anything from this, I guess, if you're a young entrepreneur or, someone that wants to start their own business, just go for it. You don't need to wait. So,
wow,
yeah.
I love that. Well, because there's this perennial, feeling of imposter syndrome that I think a lot of particularly younger people have about, taking on outsized responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I think what's lost often is that, it's learned through experience, not in theory.
Absolutely.
And I think your point about passion is probably what, carries most people through it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That wisdom.
Problem.
Well, we can round it out then with our traditional closing question. And, as we make our way to that, which is kind of geographic in its focus and talking about Northeast Ohio, I know that you have a love of travel. And so if we go on a quick detour, I would just love to hear, your perspective on travel and its importance and how you think about it.
Sure. I am obsessed with traveling. It's my favorite thing to do. When I was 9 years old, my dad took me to China for the first time, which was crazy. Like I actually can't believe that my mom even let that happen. But it was such a unique experience. And I've been very fortunate from a young age being able to travel a lot with my dad. Going to Kent State, they offer amazing study abroad programs, tons of them. So I knew I wanted to study abroad at least once, and I actually ended up doing that twice. I did a summer in Florence, Italy, and I did a semester in Prague, Czech Republic, which was incredible. So, being able to travel through that experience was amazing. And for work, I was supposed to go to China and India this year. Might push that off till next year, but I just love traveling so much. I love meeting new people. I love seeing the architect and the people and different cultures. I mean, I've been to Morocco and like that was incredible, like riding camels through the Sahara Desert. Like you can't even dream about these things. But I think there's so many benefits to traveling. I personally feel like I've grown a lot from traveling, from studying abroad at a young age, learning to adapt to new environments. If things don't go to plan, like as planned, how do you pivot that, make the best out of that situation? I love traveling. It's my favorite thing to do. And any kind of free time I have, which is like zero, I love traveling. But luckily for my job, I get to travel a lot for work. I was in Atlanta a month ago. I was in Dallas last week. I was in Chicago 3 days ago. I'm going to Orlando next week. And the following week, I'm in Utah. Oh, and Arizona too. Lots of back-to-back right now. But traveling is really important. And I encourage anyone, whenever they have any kind of opportunity, I would take advantage of that because the world is just so big. There's so much to see.
So big.
And it's just such a fun experience. So
yeah, it's so perspective enhancing. It's I'll butcher the quote, but I think Mark Twain said it's like, travel is fatal to bias and prejudice.
Yeah.
And I think that, you capture that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. I could talk about traveling all day long.
Well, we can talk about it, from the context as if you were to visit Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
What would be your prescription for a hidden gem?
Yeah, so a hidden gem. So when I lived in Cleveland, I lived in Ohio City for a little bit, which I loved. And then I was also in Lakewood, which I loved. I don't know how hidden this gem is, but one of my favorite places was Hex. It's a restaurant. I don't know if you've been there, but there's one in Ohio City. There's one in Avon. I think one in Beechwood now. But I love it there. They have like a tiny little kitchen, but their food is just incredible. And another one of my favorite hidden gems, which I don't think this is hidden at all, but Kelsey Elizabeth. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She has like cupcakes and cookies, and they're incredible. She's in Rocky River, Avon. I'm blanking. She has like 5 locations, but I am obsessed with her pastries and desserts. They are my favorite thing ever. So
sounds awesome.
Yeah, those are my hidden gems.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem.
And thank you just for, sharing your story more generally.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
If people had anything that they wanted to follow up with you about, what would be the best way for them to do so?
They should connect with me on LinkedIn. It's just Reilly Berk, ReillyBerk. So yeah, I'd love to connect with anyone listening to this. And like I said, I love meeting new people and making connections. So feel free to reach out. So
amazing. Cool.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's all for this week. Thank you for listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show. So if you have any feedback, please send over an email to jeffrey@layoftheland.fm or find us on Twitter @podlayoftheland or @sternhefe, JEFE. If you or someone you know would make a good guest for our show, please reach out as well and let us know. And if you enjoy the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes or on your preferred podcast player. Your support goes a long way to help us spread the word and continue to bring the Cleveland founders and builders we love having on the show. We'll be back here next week at the same time to map more of the land. The Lay of the Land podcast was developed in collaboration with the Up Company, LLC. At the time of this recording, unless otherwise indicated, we do not own equity or other financial interests in the company which appear on this show. All opinions expressed by podcast participants are solely their own and do not reflect the opinions of any entity which employs us. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.